Welcome to the best agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, September 8th, 2022, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 394. Bruce?
I'm going to repeat what Jim said. We want to welcome you guys. This podcast is for you. It's basically meant to be kind of a live Q&A. You come on, you ask your questions, you get a little bit of coaching, you hear what your peers are doing to see success, what your peers may have done that didn't work, different things like that. So all in an effort to make you better in this probate niche. If you have questions, please go to the bottom of your screen and raise your hand. We will call on you. If you're watching on one of our live streaming platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can chat your questions in there. We have someone monitoring those questions, and then they'll ask me. I'll be able to read the question live, and one of our coaches or one of your peers will be able to chime in with the answer there. We do like interaction, and normally we get to the end of the call and everyone decides to interact in the last 5 minutes. So if you have a question, pop your hand up early. We will get to you guys. We'll answer those questions. We'll hear those success stories, those wins, those ideas. That's what this is all about. With that, I am going to turn it over to Coach Chuck. I believe he had some information he wanted to give you guys, a little bit of coaching to start it off, and then we have a really exciting announcement coming up here in a couple of minutes that you're going to want to stay tuned for. So if you're multitasking, pay close attention. All right, Chuck, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Bruce. I just wanted to kind of lay out, as I do a lot of the orientation video or the orientation calls for new subscribers, kind of get people started off on the right foot. I had one of those calls last evening, and it's a brand new subscriber who's actually been pursuing probate as a specific niche for listings, and they started 6 months ago. So it's very, very key. And you know, he interrupted me as I was going through some of the introductory conversation. And he said, "Hey, I've been doing this for a while." I said, "Okay, well, tell me a little bit about your business." And he basically repeated back to me exactly how he set up his business verbatim for how we ask people to get up and get started. So I just wanted to run through real quick. If you're considering diving into probate as a specific niche for you to either get listings or investment deals, purchase contracts, here's how we do it from the very start. The very first thing is you want to have a quality source of leads. This particular individual was getting probate leads from someone else other than All the Leads, and the quality just wasn't there. They weren't getting consistent delivery. I don't know who it was. It doesn't matter. So they came to All the Leads, where we consistently deliver leads on a monthly basis. Then he went on to mention how one of the very first steps is he sets up a consistent direct mail campaign for him to be able to provide his value proposition in the mailbox of the personal representative. So he's sending mail to them, basically saying, "Hey, this is what I do. I'm a probate expert." And we talked a little bit about his positioning in the coaching call and gave him some good tips for maybe how he can continue to adapt his business. But putting your value proposition of how we help people overcome the obstacles while they're going through the probate process to settle an estate is the goal. And the consistency, he was sending 2 letters per month for the first 3 months, and then he dripped it down to 1 letter per month. After that, he had some mixes. Some of the best responses that he was getting, he put a flyer into that very first letter. That same person didn't pick up the phone, which is the second leg of the 3-legged stool. You need at least 3 legs for your stool to be standing up. So the second leg is direct prospecting, picking up the phone to initiate that conversation with the personal representative and tell them what value we bring to the table while they're going through settling an estate. And this particular lady that received the letter with the flyer in it didn't respond to any of his voicemails that he left, and he calls prospects that he has not connected with twice per month, month in and month out, And he has been doing so for the entire 6 months for all of the lists that he's gotten. He also has set up a digital presence. So he has a website that's speaking directly to how he's able to help people overcome these obstacles in probate. And so those are the three basics: direct mail campaign set up to consistently deliver value in their mailbox, a direct prospecting campaign, so cold calling folks consistently twice per month if you haven't connected with them, and then having a digital presence or a website that people can go ahead and vet you on the internet, right? It's, you're not legit, you're a scam unless you have a website that's speaking directly to their needs, their concerns, and have solutions to help them achieve their goals. And then the fourth leg, he's started building relationships with the attorneys that were representing the probate cases for the listings that he has earned. So he has now gotten himself starting from zero in the probate business to having closed listings. He has active listings, and his pipeline is filling up for months to come. So Bruce, I think we've talked about that a number of times in Probate Foundations. We basically have a 6-month runway. Put in the work, follow the basics, and really, implement your marketing consistently. And at that 6-month mark, you start to have that predictable process where listings are coming in, you're working with clients, you have the opportunity for purchase contracts, and it continues to, show up in a pipeline to where you can establish a consistent business. So that's a little bit of the, the meat of the orientation, how to get set up and rolling from the very beginning. Now, what's interesting is that he also has not been a subscriber until now because he wanted to get the quality leads that we deliver. And he also was listening to the recordings of this mastermind. He was able to piece together. We had conversations about, well, what does he say on the phone? He's like, I don't know that it really matters as long as you're reaching out and you're connecting with folks and you're having a conversation about how you can help them. That's worked for him. He's continued to adapt, but the key is he does it day in and day out consistently, and he implements. He's got all three legs of the stool, and he's adding the fourth. So I was very impressed. It was a different orientation call than I typically have, but I wanted to share that with everybody here today, that if you're considering getting started in probate, quality leads, direct mail, cold prospecting, have a website, and start building relationships with those professionals that can help refer you business.
Bruce, you're muted.
Yep, you're muted, bud.
Sorry about that. It's as simple as that. You can make it more complex if you want. Some of you are maybe like me and you like to add complexity into your business to maybe generate some more business. So you might want to do video, you might want to do some blogging, you might want to door knock. All those things are good, but you don't have to start with all those things. You want to start with a consistent autopilot sequence of mailers. Pick the phone up, have conversations. He and I had the conversation, so that really set the stage. I said, all right, we have the opportunity to meet free once per month as you're, and have these strategy coaching calls, so we can start diving into some of those more advanced marketing strategies and implement more on the digital side. So that way everybody is seeing him and his value proposition wherever they go. They're hearing it on the phone, they're seeing him in the mailbox, they're seeing it on social media. There's videos and other content when they search online. These are some of the advanced things, but get started with that three-legged stool so you can sit up and get going. Yep. Outstanding. Now with that, guys, Chuck did a good job inadvertently of mentioning direct mail. So we did want to bring an announcement to you guys, and then I want to go to Solon real quick. The announcement that you guys need to know about, and this has been in demand for a long time. So often our marketing implementation specialists, they will meet with new subscribers and subscribers that have even been with us for a while and say, you know what, we recommend somewhere between 3 and 8 mail touches over time. And by the way, that number is very fluid for everyone on this call. Some of you are going to choose to mail for 12 months and have 18 touches, but we recommend that most people have a minimum of 3 mailing touches that go out to your list. Minimum. If you're not doing 3, whatever you send better be crazy high value, because it needs to have staying power. And everyone always comes back and says, well, which letters should I send? There's 25 letters in the system. I don't know which one to send first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay. We are starting today, technically starting tomorrow. We will choose that for you if you like. If you're the type of person that wants to go in and pick your own mailing campaign, that's completely fine. We welcome you. We still have a whole bunch of sample letters in there for you to go and choose from and build your campaign. But if you're the type of person that wants sort of a done for you process, we now have written mailing packages. The mailing packages are available. Get with support, your salesperson or the marketing implementation specialist that you work with, and ask to see those packages. They all start at 3 mailing touches and they go on autopilot. So essentially you pick your package, you set it, and technically you kind of forget it at that point, other than the fact that you obviously have to call your leads and you have to answer the phone when you get an inbound call. But we've kind of made it really easy for those of you that were waiting on us to choose letters for you. You just pick one of the 5 packages that we have available. If you're a subscriber in a county that somebody else has already chosen one, you won't be able to pick that particular package. We don't want anyone kind of walking on each other and competing with each other with the exact same content. But you pick one of the packages that we have available. Your MIS can show you exactly what those look like. And by the way, if you pick one and it's on autopilot, you're going to get a discount on the mailing touches that we're doing for you. So if you guys have been doing autopilot mailing packages more than 3 touches for a while, call in, let us know. We'll apply that discount for you guys as well, as long as you have a package over 3 touches and it's on autopilot, so that you really don't have to think about it. It's a true system for you guys. And I'm sure Tim has something to say as well.
Yeah, Bruce, I was just going to ask one thing, and you brought it up, and often people don't quite understand what we mean when we say autopilot. So in the beginning, when we started this, autopilot pretty much meant that, you would just mail everybody and keep mailing them. And we were learning as we went. And that was back in 2015. And as we worked through this and added more functionality to the CRM, what ends up happening is that, let's just say for argument's sake, you start off the first month and you have 100 leads in your county, and you do your first mailing, and over that next 2 weeks, you make phone calls following up after that mail's arrived, and you talk to a bunch of people, you exclude some people from future mailings because you don't think there's an opportunity there. You talk to them, know where to go with that one, so you take that one out. So now your second mailing is getting ready to go out, and you're down to half that size, maybe, for example. And the whole point behind putting it on autopilot is that it's going to go out. Your responsibility is simply to work your leads. As you work your leads, you take more out of it each time, so your costs go down as it goes. And that's how the people who are doing this like a science do it. They just work it hard. They make sure that as they deal with it, they take the list down in size after they've talked to people, but they leave it on autopilot. Therefore, it's going to go out. It's part of exactly what you said. They set it, they forget it, they move on and do their part in this, which is do the follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for those of you that want more information on that, you will be getting an email here sometime in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Please don't everyone jump off of the Zoom call, because we still want your questions and engagement. But you'll get an email with links to schedule your MIS call, set your autopilot mail package, mail campaign up. And by the way, these are 3 touches. If you want to add more touches, which depending on your market, we absolutely recommend. If you want to add more pieces, maybe some postcards or an extra custom letter or 2 or 5, you can add those into the campaign, and it will also come with the exact same discount that you get with having an autopilot mailing campaign. So If you are not on autopilot and you are not on a campaign with mail, please schedule a call with your marketing implementation specialist and get in here and get some mail going out, because it's one of the most important pieces that we do, along with phone calls and along with having a digital presence. So that's what I wanted to announce. Any coaches have anything else before I go to Solon here real quick?
Now, I was hoping Kevin Rich would be on the call today. I was just going to add to what Chuck said. Chuck, I had a long conversation with a subscriber this week. He'd been with us 2.5 years. Basically was using Tim's put it under your pillow and hope, the listing fairy showed up. He really had done nothing. And he only implemented one of those approaches. He got a estate sale company and he started co-marketing with his estate sale company, sharing the cost and everything. And he really hit the mail, and he's having deals starting to really come in just from the mail. So all 3 legs are good, but if you're not doing any legs, start with one, and add from there. And if Kevin comes on later, he may share the exact story, but I just wanted to add to what you said.
I'll tell you guys something that Chuck had mentioned about taking 6 months. That's not to say, to those of you that heard 6 months and kind of freaked out, said, I need business faster. That's not to say that you do not get business faster. What we say when we talk about a 6-month campaign is it takes 6 months before your pipeline is full and you can accurately predict the amount of business that you're going to get month over month. It's going to take that long to fill the pipeline up. You get to the end of a 6-month campaign on a certain set of leads, and you may have gotten 1 listing out of that first set of leads at that point, but you should have 5 or 6 people that you know are going to do business with you in the near future as well. So it's 6 months to fill the pipeline and be able to accurately predict how much business you're going to get out of your probate campaign. So just wanted to kind of clarify that for those of you that may have had that question, how long it takes to get predictable business. And that's what it is. So I'd like to go to Solon here real quick. If you would, go ahead and unmute yourself. What do you have for us?
So I would just like to vouch for everything that Chuck, Tim, and Jim, and you as well, Bruce, have said. I am going into my 4th month. I have gone on 7 listing appointments. I am now closing my first probate deal where I had both sides of the transaction. And it's going to be paying me $8,000, and it's only $160,000 price point. So the good news is lots of phone calls. I call them every day for the first week. Make sure I touch them at least 7 times on the phone call when the first list comes in. We do the mailer. We eliminate as we do the phone calls, and we find out people have sold or they don't even have real estate associated with the estate. That has worked. But at the end of the day, my cost approach, and I spend about $700 a month for the data that comes into my county. So this one deal is going to cover my year, as far as the data is concerned. And that, to me, looking for 2 deals a month or 2 deals a quarter, so to speak, to start the process where I'm going into this, I think just following those steps, phone calls, monthly follow-ups, and then at the same time with the letters on top of it, it's bound to happen. So,
so you've been on 7 appointments. What, and if you don't have the exact number, that's fine. Ballpark for me what your pipeline looks like. How many deals out of your 4 months do you think will come to fruition after you?
I realistically, right now it says I'm at 1.3 million in volume with these. The 7 that I went on, 3 I just have zero interest working on them. At the end of the day, I just zero interest. But the other 4, 1 I said I took on and I'm closing. The other 3, they're each averaging about $250 on price point, because they're older homes. They haven't been touched, but the ARVs on these homes are $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 when they're all said and done. So to me, that's just great for my location. It allows me to do that, and it's a really good system. And I just hit them with what we can do here as far as Keller Williams and systems and technology, and they do appreciate the phone calls. They really do. I think it's all about the phone calls. The letters are nice. They work. Hey, did you see my letter yet? Did you see my name? Do you recognize my name? That is helpful. Some people say yes because I have a unique name. But that being said, it's like, they don't care about the letters. They could care because they have so many. So
What's going to happen, Solon, is I can't wait to hear this story at some point because I want you to come back and tell me when it happens, or tell us when it happens. You'll go on an appointment that you generated off of a phone call. Okay. You probably will have generated it off of the phone call. You'll walk in the door and they'll pull out a shoebox, or they'll pull out a stack of envelopes with a rubber band around it. And they'll say, we kept your marketing pieces because we knew we were going to probably talk to you. And you will have walked in the door thinking that it was about the phone, and you'll leave knowing that it was the comprehensive approach. But absolutely, the calls are vital. And I love one of the things that Solon just said is they appreciate the calls. They appreciate the calls. Those of you that are worried about people calling you an ambulance chaser and blowing up on you, can it happen? Sure. Yeah. Sometimes you catch someone on a bad day, but most of the people actually really appreciate the phone call. They appreciate your willingness to have a conversation with them. So, man,
I agree.
Great job.
Thank you. With the phone calls, the people that really get pissed off, for my own personal sake, those individuals never grew a business for themselves, never started anything for themselves, never built anything for themselves. So I could care less how they feel about it. They usually are working for somebody or have been taking orders their whole career. So it's okay. Fishing for me is just shows that I have initiative and looking to build. So that's how I feel about it when they curse me out.
I'd also say one other thing, and that is that you're doing your mailing, you're doing it consistently, and we say this every time when we discuss this, which is that's another tremendous reason for, to be doing this consistently and doing it over time, because what ends up happening is that in the very beginning, if you take that stack that Bruce was referring to and they could go through it, what they'd see is that the postmarks of most of those are all right around the very beginning of it. And you get into it for the second and third month, and you're the only mail they're getting. They're done at that point. You're still playing. And we have people who specialize literally in doing a 6 and 12-month mailing, because it's very, very often that houses that go into probate, they're not ready to do it very quickly. One or the other of the surviving spouse is still in the home. They're not going anywhere. They're not moving it. Nothing's going to happen until something does happen. And when it does, your job is to be there and be top of mind. And that's the whole point of getting this mail out and continuing to follow up and doing it diligently. This can't stress how well this works. We hear every time, we hear stories about, I heard from them 6 and 12 months later, and I did a 6-month mailing, and, I got 4 out of it, and Jim has tested it as well. I mean, we just know that it works. So onward and upward. We got a lot of hands in the air. Bruce, I'm going to let you take them, bud.
Perfect. All right. Solon, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Come back and share some more results with us. Let's go to Christian Garcia, man. This is a face I haven't seen for a while on here, even though I'm just seeing a picture right now. Christian, what's up?
Can you hear me, Bruce?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Just wanted to share a couple of things with you guys. I know it's been a while, but wanted to share my success so far. I'm starting to implement a text message. I've gotten a lot of feedback from it, positive feedback. Just in the last couple of months, just from text messages, I locked in about 5 contracts. And then in terms of listings, what I've done from probate, I think right now I'm about 4 that are about to close in the next 30 days. So this is just primarily probate. But what's been helping for me when I do the text messaging is that I'm getting their attention. Once they respond or they tell me who am I or whatever the reason may be, I just call them right away and just start digging in to see how I can help.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's all
I was wondering where you were like a week or 2 ago. I was like, man, I hadn't seen Christian for a while. This is amazing to hear the 4 listings that are about to go to closing, primarily out of probate.
Correct. Yep.
Outstanding. It works, guys. It works. You work the system and it will work. And Christian's been doing this for a while. What, Christian, 1.5, 2 years, 3 years?
I think we're going on about 3 years at this point.
Okay. So does it take some time to get that pipeline going, get your system perfectly dialed in? Sure, yeah, it can take a little bit of time, but you got someone right here that just shared successes for this month, and that's probably not a fluke that's happening, but you got to work the system.
And Bruce,
and another thing, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was going to share, I don't know if you saw my message, Bruce, but I met with a PR last month, and I've been calling this guy. I've been doing all sorts of things, and he finally said, Christian, come over. I want to show you the house. So when I go meet with him, we go over talking about price and so forth. And the last thing he said to me was, hey, I want to show you something. When he takes out what I think, what he's about to take out of his pocket was the mailers that I did for him about a year and a half ago. It was about 8 of them that I did. And he showed me every single one of them. And I was just amazed. It gave me the chills a little bit. I'm like, wow, who would have thought that? He actually met with me because he said to me, he's like, you know what? The reason I'm meeting with you today is because I felt like I had a friend. I felt like you understood what I was going through. You kept continuing to send out mailers, and you were just, you guys know what the mailers say. So he just said, I wanted to meet with you, I want to do business. We didn't do business because he wanted too much for the house, but hey, I just wanted to say, you know, the potential mailers of sometimes that can give you the door that you're looking for to do business, but it's just, you got to try all avenues is practically what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let me give you guys a little tip on something that you should do if you're doing mailers and you don't know if they're working. You need to put in some of your letters. Even if you're using our letters and our letters don't say this, you can edit the letters. Put in the letter, hey, if you're not ready to deal with this right now, keep this letter. Call me later. Give them a directive of what to do, because not everyone is ready on contact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're not always ready to move forward with real estate. They might not be at that phase yet. But if you direct them to hold on to your information, hold on to your letters, a lot of times they'll do it. So if your letters don't say, keep this, if you're not ready right now, keep this letter and call me later, they should. Okay. So great job, Christian. Thanks so much for sharing, man. Anything else?
Bruce, I was going to add on to that real quick. It reminded me of the success story we had last week from the guy who was texting. And on a subsequent text, he started texting copies of the letter he had sent. And I thought that was real smart too. You know, I don't know if you remember, he said, people don't call me back. I'll text in my text campaign. I'll say, I sent you this letter. I don't know if you remember who I am. I sent you this letter, and he started texting that. And just another great example of using multiple sources and effectively combining them. So good job, Christian. Appreciate it.
Outstanding.
That's actually, I'm going to start doing that. I never even thought about it.
Yep.
And while you were sharing that story about him pulling out the mail touches, I saw Chuck rubbing his eye. I thought Chuck might have been shedding a tear a little bit. He got emotional.
I've just got lots of joy for you all today.
All right. Let's go to White. Thanks, Christian. Appreciate you, man. White, you done mute yourself. I got to apologize to White, everyone. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I was supposed to call White last week. I'll still do that, man.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I got 3 things, and I want to ask Christian something. Is he originally reaching out to these people by text, or is that the first time he tries to contact them?
Christian, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
So the text message, believe it or not, these are all cold. Practically my strategy now, it has changed a lot over the year or two. I'm going in as an investor. A lot of the times they don't feel like they want to talk to agents or even hear about probate. So I just go straight to the point. I'm sending on average on a daily basis anywhere between 600 to 1,000 messages. Since I have so much data from probate, I'm always recycling through every month or every day of people that answer, they haven't answered. But that just depends on what you want to do or what's your objective. I mean, this is my strategy. My strategy is go as an investor and sell that contract to somebody else. And if they feel that the price is too high, I have a different strategy for that. Let's put it on the MLS. Let's figure out a way to work together. An investor is not going to give you the price you're looking for, but this is what I can do for you. Are you on board? And there's more to it that I haven't really talked about. But I mean, to me, when I originally talked to these families, I practically go in and try to figure out a solution, as an exit strategy more than anything. So to answer your question about text messages, for me, what's working for me now is going in as an investor and then see what they want to do there.
Are your initial, is the text your initial point of contact? Is it letters? Is it phone calls? What's the first touch? First, second?
Right now is mostly text messages.
Okay, so your first phone interaction is through text, and then you call after that.
Yeah, if they respond, that's exactly what I'll do. Yep.
Okay, all right.
All right, so Bruce, three things real quick. On the mail, are we billed, if we do the three, is it billed all at one time?
No, it's going to be billed as that piece is going out, because anyone that's going on autopilot is going to want a little bit of time to get into their list and scrub out the people that yell at you. It doesn't happen a lot, but when somebody yells at you, you might want to scrub them out. The people that have already sold, those that never had real estate to begin with. Or I also scrub out the individuals that I don't need to introduce myself to anymore. I know that they're in my pipeline. I know that they're going to sell a house. I know I'm going to get a shot. I don't need to send them an introduction letter at that point. So those are the people that I scrub out. And for that reason, we don't bill for the entire campaign to that list all at once. We want to give you an opportunity to whittle that list down a little bit so that the next letter in the sequence that goes out doesn't go out to everyone and you save a little bit of money.
Okay. All right. The other thing is, when I've had this happen a couple of times, and this kind of goes back to last week, where you have spouses that think, I'm good, I'm staying here, but then you look at the deed and it's not joint right of survivorship. How much do you push on that? Because they've done it themselves, they've done it wrong, and you want to help them, but at the same time, they just kind of dug their heels in. What would you do?
Well, my first objective is always building rapport. I'm not here to convince someone that doesn't want to be convinced yet. I'm here to get a relationship, get information. Okay, so you run into a spouse that says, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to agree with them, knowing that they're probably going to have to change their mind, because I want information out of that call. I want rapport out of that call, so that when I call back in 21, 30 days, 14 days, whatever it's going to be, they like me. They remember me. They like me. I'm just checking in, wanted to see if there was anything I could do for you. And eventually, they're going to come to the realization that maybe they got a problem on their hands. And you're going to be the person that has followed up and maintained a relationship, versus all those people that the spouse says, hey, I'm going to stay, and they go, okay, bye, and they hang up and they never call that person again, and they have no chance of converting that lead when they change their mind. Not if they change their mind, when they change their mind, because most of the time they will change. Surviving spouses very, very frequently move. Very frequently. They might not move in 3 months, might be 11 months, but most of them are going to move.
And the other thing is, last Friday, I got a phone call from one I mailed out, and it's pretty common last name. It was Smith, and the PR that was on the information, I pulled it up. They had no idea of what I was talking about. No, I mean, none. And then the attorney, and I looked at it, and I gave him the information from the attorney that was on the lead. And about 20 minutes later, he called me, and he was concerned that it was because the actual PR that the attorney was working with was in his office on last Thursday. And I just wondered how that could have happened. Now, what I did, I turned a bad into a good, is I'm going to go by and see him. the attorney. He said, come on by. He said, I want to see what you got to offer. But I don't know how that could have happened. He was concerned that the probate court had gotten it messed up. And as a matter of fact, he was going to go by there Friday afternoon to make sure. I just don't know how that would have happened.
Did you say it was a common name or not quite?
Yes, sir, it was. It's the last name Smith.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you know, there are human error issues in all of these things, and you know, there's lots of John Smiths out there, and so I mean that's the most common. It's very rare, obviously, when it does happen, but typically that's what it is, or there's data entry error. I mean, what we do is we look at it, and as the mail side of it, we look at it to make sure that it's a deliverable piece of mail. Make sure that we do that. We also make sure that it's a valid address, that the phone numbers are valid, and do the best that we can to find the right set of people to match with what the PR shows. If the PR is showing a different set of contact information, that's a whole different story. I mean,
That's why I was wondering how it showed up, because the actual PR was a spouse, and they didn't even know this person. That's what kind of threw me off.
It's almost always just the super common name, and it could have been. You know, I've personally lived in a house with where someone had a name that was not but the previous owner had a name that was really similar to mine, and so things like that can happen where you go looking, and even if you put it in an address, I want a Bruce Hill that's lived at 123 Main Street.
I just never had it happen. Yeah, I've been doing it. It was very odd, but I turned it into a positive. So
I think you've gotten lucky. I've had it happen a few times.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, man. Did you have a third question?
No, I covered it all.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, White. Appreciate you. We've had a couple of people ask in chat if Christian minds sharing his initial text. I don't know if Christian minds or not. Christian, if you do not mind, if you would post that in the All the Leads Mastermind Facebook page. If you do mind, don't post it. I mean, everybody kind of has their industry things that they hold on to. So I'm going to leave that up to Christian to decide on. But everyone here should be on the All the Leads Mastermind Facebook group. Use that. It's a great place to ask your questions and talk to peers and see what people are doing to either succeed or fail. A lot of times we learn more from failure than success. So use that platform, learn and educate yourselves. It'll seriously help you guys get a leg up in your business. With that, Deborah, let's go to you. Deborah, if you could unmute yourself.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So many of the PRs are in the do not call list. So do you still call them, and also we don't have a do not text list. So I've been texting them, but so what do you do with the call?
Texting is actually more risky than calling. And I'm not going to say calling is not risky, but texting offers black and white in proof that you called someone or you texted someone on the do not call list. I'm going to let Tim answer this. He answers it much more diplomatically than I do. Because I'm an agent and I don't want to tell you guys what I do.
So what we always say is this: you need to make yourself aware of the statutes, the laws, and all of the things that are there. We don't encourage people to break the law, and we're not going to start doing that. Having said that, we put the information out. It's there for you to deal with. If you get a response back from a customer, if they respond to a call, if they do anything else, you established a business relationship with them, and typically you're fine to contact them. Cold text to people, we all get them, and sometimes we respond, and oftentimes we don't respond very well to them. And I think the only thing I would say about anything that you're going to go do, and it's a long way of saying it's up to you what you choose to do. The only thing I would say about this is that no matter what you do, approaching it with the right mindset is going to win the game for you. And, this is like talking, about what White said, is that he turned a, negative into a positive. And same thing with one of the things that Christian said. If you're not coming on and saying, hey, I'd like to buy the house of your recently deceased uncle, that's a bad way to start. And the same thing is true with a text. If you're sending it out, if you're sending something out that says, I help families in probate in our local market here in XYZ County, that's likely to be far more well received, no matter how you're doing it. But the choices are yours. I would urge you to look up TCPA law and understand what it is in your local marketplace and deal with that. That's about as far as I can go with that. I can't encourage you to or not to do it. I can tell you that lots of people make good use out of all of the data that we give them in very clever and creative ways. And our job is not to censor you.
Okay.
How's that, Bruce? Do you like that?
So
one?
I like it okay. I like it okay. I'm not going to expand a lot more because we have to protect our company, and we definitely don't want to encourage certain things. Just know that the choice is yours, and a lot of some of our subs call everybody. Some of our subs text everyone. Some people scrub their list, the do not calls out of their list, and there's varying different degrees of success with all of them. It's one of those questions that I wish we could give you a more clear direction on, but unfortunately, we're not really able to give you the direction that that you're looking for. I would ask some peers and see what they're doing. That way, they're not giving you coaching or legal advice.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Deborah? No? Okay. All right. Scott. Wait a minute. Before we go to Scott, we did this to you last week. Don't unmute yourself yet. I think we have my man, Kevin Rich, on the line. Do we have Kevin, Alyssa, Jim?
He's in call-in. Kevin, are you there? Can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Kevin. I promised I wouldn't make you give a real big, long speech, but if you would just share with me, I'll just ask you a few questions, I think, which is what you had preferred. How long have you been getting leads from us?
Oh, almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's actually 2 years and 5 months. I checked.
Right.
Never ask a
Time
question
flies.
you don't know the answer to, right? And I think you shared with me until recently, you were kind of using Tim's method of put them under your pillow and hope the listing fairy shows up. You haven't been doing too much to market to them until recently, correct?
Yeah, that's true. And at the top of the call, when Chuck and Bruce were talking about keep it simple. Calls, mailers, calls, mailers. And I try to do a number of different things, and it wasn't working. And it went back to the basics, and voila, I'm getting results. I've got a listing, got one that's a fix and flip right now under construction, and I have with Pam Sullivan, hopefully it's a short sale coming up.
Nice. We hadn't seen one of those for a while.
Yeah. It's the first time for me.
And Kevin, something pretty unique that we highly, highly recommend. We always say, work with your affiliate or work with your service providers. You started a campaign with the local estate sale company, and it's a joint marketing effort, and it's paying off for you from what you told me. Would you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. Actually, it's my cousin. He runs an estate sale company here, and we just kind of put together a flyer, one-page flyer, including it in my emails. In my mails rather, and in the past couple of months, I've given Sean 6 leads.
Outstanding.
And he's already worked on 4 of them. So, and this one that I'm working with on Pam, the short sale, is probably going to be his too.
He's contributing to your campaign financially, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you would say that that's paid off for him.
He would say that. That's for sure.
He would say that.
And, no, I agree. Yeah, he would. Definitely.
I want everyone to hear this. Kevin's one of the first folks that has shown up saying that he actually has a vendor contributing to his campaign. I've been preaching this for a long time, and I know there are some other folks that are doing it. If you have a go-to estate planner, estate sale company, clean out crew, different vendors, they many times would be happy to contribute into your mailing campaign. And it really it puts your marketing on steroids, because you've got now the ability to it not come directly out of your pocket. So if you guys have good, trusted providers and vendors that are going to get a benefit out of the marketing that you're already doing, see if they'll contribute to it. Use that money to either offset the expense that you were paying or up the marketing campaign and plan that you're doing, and kind of increase the power of that by adding more pieces or adding extra calls, different things like that. Sorry, Kevin, and sorry, Jim. I know you probably have a few other questions.
No, I was just going to say I like what you did on the marketing piece, Kevin. It's a two-sided. It's a large postcard, right? An oversized postcard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's two-sided. One side lists Kevin's services, and the other side lists his cousin's services. But it doesn't really look. You can't really tell which one it's coming from. It looks like a joint effort, which it is. Although I think the phone number is to call you, Kevin, which is smart.
Right.
But I would agree with what Bruce said. As long as, I know people, a lot of our subscribers want their affiliates to chip in, but make sure it pays off for them. And once it does, I mean, he'd be crazy not to stay with that campaign. And you can afford to put your marketing dollars elsewhere. You can afford to do a lot different mailings and a lot more mailings when you got somebody paying for a substantial, portion of your budget. So that's just a really good win-win, like Bruce said, that we always preach, but I think it's too seldom actually practiced. So yeah. Great job. Appreciate you sharing. Anything else you want to add?
I think just one point to add to that, if I could.
Please.
Yeah.
Yep. So for unlicensed investors, right? Probate has been the fattest deals I've ever done in 20 years, right? Especially short sale probates. Those were phenomenal. But when you're looking for having somebody to be able to help contribute, if you're unlicensed and an investor, the number one solutions team member you need on your side is going to be that agent, because there will be many of those leads where they're looking for more of a retail price. And it's an easy sell to an agent to be able to pitch in and cover your lead costs, cover your marketing costs, because you're delivering so much value to them by doing most of the work.
Yep. And Bruce, Kevin, Chuck, third try. Just to add to that, I'm always quick, because I wore both hats for many years. I remember so many people I spoke to, and they wanted a ridiculously high price, and I said no. And then months later, I'd see it sell to another investor. So an investor is a really good insurance policy for the realtor, that if anybody buys it, or even for the investor, if the investor hands it to the realtor because they wanted retail now, and months later, the situation changes, they get more realistic, that investor has kind of locked that deal in for himself by giving it to the right realtor. So it's really a synergetic relationship, or it should be. Yep. Anything you wanted to add, Kevin?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, you're looking good. That phone looks good, and we appreciate you sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Scott, let's go to Scott. If you would unmute yourself. I think you already are. What do you got for us today?
Well, this goes back to mailing letters, and when you don't know someone's keeping them or saving them or whatever. I I have mailed campaigns since I started in real estate because we just have them set up and automated things. And I send out letters after I have a listing around the neighborhood to 200 properties that, you know, have the right criteria, haven't been sold in 7 years, equity, all that. So I might have told a little bit about the story, but I got a call back from a guy. He said almost 2 years or so after he received this letter that I sent to his father, who had since passed and had a bunch of properties. So it's technically a probate deal that came from my own efforts. But I went out and met with them. The house was just a 1-bedroom over a beautiful cliff and all that, but it was trashed and they had a lot of old mobile home crap. And I didn't get a chance to do my normal presentation where you sit down and all that. And one of the sisters wasn't, I got 2 of the siblings there at the same time. One of the sisters didn't want to hear a fancy pitch or whatever. So I did the best I could of building rapport on the porch and just talking to him about it. But I told him the truth. I said, yeah, this is a cash deal, no question. Even if you put it on the market and try to get the most amount of buyers, it's going to be a cash offer. And an investor that comes in is going to try to get it for a deal. And I was just honest. Well, they ended up not hiring me, but going with the cash offer. That cash offer has now sent it to my partner, who is my moving services group investor, flip, you know, the people that do the updates and rehab and take it out at closing. The same buyer wholesaler for that deal that I already sent to him was just emailed to him this morning. Hey, I got this deal on this waterfront, blah, blah, blah. A wholesaler, exactly what I told him. And so my partner sent it to me going, okay, now reach out to him and say, hey, we know that, I don't know how we're going to structure it because I don't want him to know that it was sent. But now that I'm in position to tell him that this deal probably won't close and this buyer that you have is trying to flip it to an investor. So when it doesn't close, I'm the agent that told him the truth from the beginning. And if we do list it on the MLS, I'm going to be right there waiting to do it. So, and that was a 2-year-old letter. I mean, and they have another property that's in the estate as well that they haven't sold yet. They had 5 total. They called me when there was 2 left. So I might get both of them. Who knows? But it, you know, it just, you never know, man. People call you out of the blue that you think you never even remember mailing that campaign. I didn't know. He showed me the letter. I'm like, oh yeah, this is one of our automated yellow letters that have, it's not written by anybody, it's automated. And we just send it out to these, but it looks personal because everything's written out and handwritten ink that looks like I wrote it in red ink, but it's not my writing.
So I'm going to kind of add to what you just talked about and tell you what those people are. So those people that are keeping your letters for a long time, and a little bit of a teaser for later this month. As a matter of fact, it might even be next week. We've got an agent DNA class coming up. It's foundations for those of you that have not taken that before. I encourage you to jump in. It's a free class. It does it is a precursor for a longer 6-part class that comes up later in the month. But what you guys all need to know is that when you're in business, you have 2 types of audiences. You have a connected audience. These are your sphere of influence folks, the people that if you're a real estate agent, you need to be building a healthy, connected, engaged sphere of influence. Okay, so those are your connected audience. Then, and this is where most agents fail. A lot of marketers know how to do this, but agents don't. Then you need a casual audience. And your casual audience are the folks that you do not know. You don't know them. They know you through your marketing and your content. And we need to spend time building that casual audience. These are the people that call us 2 years after we sent letters and say, I've been keeping these. These are the people that have been secretly stalking your blog, secretly stalking your website, your YouTube channel, your videos. And they're the ones that call you out of the blue. And so don't only get stuck in the trap of building your sphere of influence. That's the popular thing to do these days with real estate agents specifically. If you're an investor, you're probably better at building a casual audience than agents. But but you get so stuck on having to get all your business from people that you know, and you're ignoring all those people that would secretly and casually follow you that you may not know. And then all of a sudden they pop up out of the blue. I get people popping up out of the blue all the time that I've never met before, didn't know they existed, but they've followed me for years. And I want everyone to kind of keep that in mind, that your mail marketing are really, and marketing in general is really establishing relationships with people that you haven't had to sit down and have a cup of coffee with yet. You haven't had to pick the phone up and have a conversation with, because you don't know that they're watching you. And people are watching you. If they're watching you, you better put some good marketing out, have some good content so that you can establish yourself as an authority in whatever space you're in. So I just wanted to add that it plays perfectly to Scott's point. This was someone that had had a letter for a couple of years. So with that, and if Scott, if you have anything to add, please do. But I did want to handle a question that was chatted in to us. Let me see what that question was. So do we recommend letters only? So with the mailing campaign, do we recommend letters only? Do we recommend postcards, flyers, brochures, different things like that? And the answer is yes. We do recommend a multifaceted approach. The campaigns, if you choose one of our existing pre-built campaigns that we just announced today, those are letters only. It's just 3 letters. Most people will choose to insert a brochure and do one of those letters that they send out. Most people will choose to mix in 1, 2, or 3 postcards into their mailing campaign. Other people will insert a flyer into a letter. There's lots of different inserts and supplementary marketing pieces that you can send out in addition to just those core letter pieces. And I personally recommend doing something other than just a plain letter. And I say a plain letter, it's not a plain letter is still good. But we don't know what medium people are going to respond to. We don't know if they're going to respond better to text or phone call. We don't know whether they're going to respond better to a brochure or a letter or a postcard or letter. And so mixing in as many different sources of marketing material and prospecting material as possible is going to cast a wide net and help you capture the maximum amount of folks in your campaign. So I just wanted to go ahead, Joe.
I think the key really comes down to having something that's going to be valuable and it's going to have the sticking power and getting that there first, right? Because, what we talked about earlier on in the call is that right when probate is filed, they're going to get hit with many marketing pieces from the 1 letter, 1 month, or 1 letter for each month for 3 months. And we want to keep that campaign going. But if we step forward with a professional presentation up front, such as the trifold or the flyer wrapped with a personal letter, and follow that up with a similarly designed postcard, and just as a reminder, it starts to really anchor your positioning and your branding, so that way they do recognize you, and you get those stacks of letters like Christian was talking about, where he built a relationship through the messaging, and people will hold on to those pieces. So consider the trifold brochure with a letter as the first piece, and follow that up with the postcard that matches the trifold design. We have the ability to set all of that up for you.
Outstanding. All right. One last question. Scott's hand's back up. We've got someone asked if we should reference the decedent's property address inside of our marketing pieces, and that's certainly an option. I would not, if you're going to do that, I wouldn't recommend doing it on a lot of marketing pieces, because we don't necessarily always know if that decedent's last known address is their owned property. It might be a nursing home, it might be assisted living, it might be a family's house. So occasionally I'll reference that in letters, but most of my letters are talking about probate in general and talking about services in general. Another reason that you don't want to put the decedent's property address in letters frequently is because maybe they own more than one property, and you're limiting yourself to only working on that one if they're going to sell it. We've seen at least 15%, at minimum 15% of the leads come through have more than one property associated with the estate. So don't pigeonhole yourself into only doing one deal. With that, It's a little after. Scott's your question quick, or is it something we could do on a coaching call? Go ahead.
Unmute yourself, bud.
Yep.
Okay, it wasn't letting me. That's why the host wasn't letting me. No, I think everybody's telling the best thing is to just consistently call and letters and follow up. That's if you're just doing probate. I'm not just doing probate, so I have a lot of other stuff. But something else that is another good thing, and I'm not trying to push another company, but if anybody's got a good lender that's a licensed agent that subscribes to HomeBot, it's a really good way to not solicit to people, but they seem to have interest in it. And it's like, when I send out stuff, it's like an 87%, and I don't even send it out, it just goes out. But it's like an 87% open rate. And you know when they're in there messing around, reevaluating their home value, or they have a question about their exploring markets or something. I've got a deal going on just now that I talked to him 4 or 5 years ago, literally, but he's been involved. He gets my automated newsletter, he gets my automated mailers, anything. But he goes into HomeBot, starts looking around, and now we're going to do some updating and get rid of his stuff because he's got Parkinson's, unfortunately, and he can't maintain his house. He's got to downsize, and it's going to be an $800,000 listing here probably in the next couple of months, maybe 3. But that was just from consistent touching. I called him maybe once in 4 years. I mean, maybe more, but not very often. But when he went in there, I knew he was looking, and I reached out and said, "Hey, how's it going?" And I saved him from accepting a $600,000 investor offer because he was ready to take it. And I stopped him because we actually said, "You're leaving 100,000 on the table by taking this." So just a little story of something that was successful. Anyway,
great.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, Tim, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I'm just going to say a couple of things real quick before we give it to Jimmy to send us off to the back to the reality here. Obviously, we've been talking a lot this time about direct mail, and obviously you've heard a lot from folks who describe for you how well it works for them. We're doing everything we can to try to make this easy, make it simple for you. And the other thing I would tell you that's important to know is that I heard a couple of people talking about yellow letters and other things that people send out. We do all of those types of mailings. The pieces of the puzzle that you need, anything that goes out on paper, we're a full-on commercial printer, so we can get all that stuff out. We try to do it as easily on your side as you can so that you don't have to think about it, it just gets done. And that's the value of putting it on autopilot. That's the critical element of this that makes it work well. So it's important that you know that we do all of that. More importantly, I think the best thing that you heard today was do it consistently, and simply follow a program. If you're going to, do a shotgun approach, you're not running your business like a business. Everybody that you heard from is doing their business systematically. They're following a set pattern that they follow every month, and that set pattern is followed because every month it consistently spits out results. And as we tighten up in terms of what we're doing here, it's critical that you get your business on that same type of patterned approach. Chuck made a couple of really good points about that. Is just be diligent, follow up, continue to do what you're doing. And we're here to help you get that done. And that's all I had to say. And with that, it's 2:07. We appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to give it to Jimmy to send them off.
All right, one of our longest calls. We appreciate y'all being here. You made it tough on us. I don't know which one of these 6 success stories is going to be the win of the week. I think we'll leave that to our team to decide. Maybe we'll have a couple. But I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to particularly thank those that actively participated and the ones that shared the wins with us. And I want to challenge each of you, take one good idea that you heard on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.